Okay.
We are going to do a little evaluation of our growth factor. Now, some of these things we have been covering during our Magic Monday because we kind of hit on these certain points and then we pick an area and we work on them. But today, I really wanted to run through, and I'm going to put this in the chat question by question. I've had Willow home with me most of today, so I did not get to put it into a presentation form. So the first one is we're going to go into the first category of mindset and personal growth. So I'm going to recommend that you grab a notebook, or you can use like a word pad or Google Doc and you can copy and paste these. And I want you to rate yourself. So, number one is how comfortable are you with uncertainty and taking risks? One
Ooh.
meaning I am not great at it. 10 meaning I'm really great at it. So repeat that one more time. How comfortable are you with uncertainty and taking risks? One meaning I don't like that. I'm not good at it. 10 meaning like bring it on. I step fearlessly into the unknown. All right. And as you write that down, I'm going to encourage you to then think about like what's some reasoning to back that up? Meaning, do you ever take risks and take uncertainty? Because I'm asking you how comfortable you are with it, but then I'm going to ask like, do you actually do it? Because your perception might be, I'm not comfortable with it, but your reality could be actually that you're really good at it. Or it could be flip, and it could be you saying, "Oh yeah, I'm really comfortable with that, no problem," but you don't do it. So let's put some reasoning, some reality to that as well. Or like even me, like I would say for me, like I feel like I'm really pretty good at that. Now how often do I do it might be another case, right? All right. So now for question two is how often do you experience imposter syndrome or fear of failure? Yeah, I'm gonna put that one in the chat. How often do you experience imposter syndrome or fear of failure? Okay. Uh, and actually, I'm going to edit that because I want, no, that is right. So one meaning never. I don't ever experience that. 10 or no, 10 meaning, sorry, 10 meaning I never experienced that. One meaning I got to make sure my ratings are right so we can add this up correctly. 10, sorry, 10 meaning rarely do I ever experience it. One meaning I experience it all the time. Okay. All right. And we are going to add up these points. So make sure you're collecting your points. Number three is, do you feel like you're constantly growing and evolving? 10 meaning, yes, I'm always growing and evolving. Like, bring on the challenges. One meaning, like, no, it's a slow process. I like to stay the same. I don't really like to change things up a whole lot. All right. Number four is how well do you handle setbacks and challenges? How well do you handle setbacks and challenges? And then number five and last question in this mindset and personal growth section is, do you have support systems? So mentors, masterminds, coaches. Now, having them in place is one thing, right? Like you all are here. You could have them available. So if you have them available, but you're not using them, that number is going to go down, right? Because we could have all the resources and throw all the money at the problems, right? And say, oh, yeah, I've got all these systems, but I don't use them. There are lots of people that do that. All right, so go ahead and tally up your points for these first five, and that's going to be your score in the mindset and personal growth. So that could be potentially one, two, three, four, five, just making sure I was counting right. Five, which would be 50 points, would be the max. And now we're going to move on to section two. So there's three sections. Section two is business strategy and goals. And question number one is, how clear are you on your business vision and long-term goals? How clear are you on your business vision and long-term goals? That's a 1 to 10, meaning 10, I'm super clear about my vision and long-term goals. 1 meaning, I don't know, like I'm just kind of winging it. And then do a reality check because you might have written it down and you have it in a place and it's there. You've done that work. You just can't recall it off the top of your head. That means that score is going to go up. All right. Question number two in this section is, do you have a strategic plan in place to grow your business? And when I say a strategic plan, like for example, one thing that I've done with a couple clients lately is here's our map to get to $1 million. It might be a 2 year plan, it might be a 5 year plan. And we've broken that down into phases. Here's phase one for us to complete within this time frame. Once that's complete, we move to phase two and phase three. And it's very strategic. All right. Number three is, how often do you take action on big ideas rather than just planning? So this is the action portion. How often do you take action on those big ideas rather than just planning? And this one's so important because this is definitely an area that I get stuck in a lot. All right. I'm always honest with you all. Like, I am the queen of just plan, plan, plan. Now, I also take a lot of action, but I do have to push myself more because my comfort zone is doing all the planning. All right. The next question, are you tracking progress and making data driven decisions? So it's kind of two part, right? Like, are you tracking progress? Meaning you have the data. You have to have the data in order to make data driven decisions. And then are you making data driven decisions? And so if you're doing part of that, you might get to a five. If you're doing part of that and a little more, you might be up to seven or eight, right? All right. And then question number five in this section is, how adaptable are you to change and industry trends? So, right, like change and industry trends are going to happen. How adaptable are you to it? And so if you're like, hey, I don't even keep up with industry trends, then that number is going to be lower. And that's just a reality, right? Like we do have to keep up with what's trending in our industries because we need to know where we're positioned. And if you're positioned really well within your industry and you don't necessarily have to adapt to a lot of those trends, that's okay. That just automatically makes your score a little higher. But let's say Sierra, right? Like if there's suddenly all VAs are using project management software and you're not using any, then that would be that you're not aware of the industry trends or adapting to them. So just use that as an example. Easy example, right? All right. So now we've got our five that we just totaled up or we just went through for business strategy and goals. Go ahead and add that up. And again, 50 would be the max number. So no one's getting a 51. We're almost there. We've got five more questions. So the next section is business operations and performance. I know it sounds really dry. Like that, you're like, oh, that doesn't sound fun. So the first question in this section is how confident are you in your current marketing and lead generation strategy? 1 to 10. 10 meaning I'm so confident in it. I'm great. I do this well. I've got a constant lead generation cycle where people are just coming in so easy and all my marketing is groovy. Number two, this is the one where a lot of people are going to laugh. Are your business finances stable and growing? Right? We all go, Are your business finances stable and growing? Meaning there's consistent, predictable income and you are working, right, with hopefully your strategic plan to like, it's grown a little bit each month or every quarter. Like there's some type of growth. Number three, do you have systems in place to streamline operations and save time? I'd say, Tiffany, you've been working on this, right? I was like, give yourself those moments to like feel good. No one in the business growth lab, including myself, is going to be getting a 10 on every single thing. Like, that's just not the reality of being a business owner, right? Like, you wouldn't be here if you were getting a 10 in everything. So, this is not to make us feel bad. This is to really look at where we need to be making some pivots and paying attention. So, the third question, fourth question in this section is how well do you convert leads into paying clients and customers? So, that first question was like our lead generation strategy. We've got leads coming in. This part's talking about okay, now that you get those leads, how are you good at you at converting them into paying clients and customers? And I will say, like honestly, a 50% conversion rate is really good. And that varies depending on from industry to industry. And I would say like if you've got a bunch of leads but you're not the best at converting them, it might be that you need better quality leads where you're not having to sift them out as much. So we can look into that. That's why again, these are really important questions to be able to answer. All right. The last question. Is your business scalable or are you just constantly hitting a plateau? This is the real hard question. Plateau meaning there's this point that you just never can seem to get past. Is it scalable? So, for example, if I was just doing one-to-one coaching, right, and I was only doing one-to-one coaching, and I'm saying I can only work 20 hours a week doing coaching appointments, and that's not scalable, right? At a certain point, I'm gonna hit a plateau. Now, for me, right, like that might be okay. Well, not for me, but maybe for someone else. That might be okay. They might say 20 hours a week, coaching person like a session for each person, like I'm good. That's my life goals. But for you, that might be feeling like you're hitting a plateau. right? Like your income is capped. That's going to be different from each person. I met someone once, talked to them. She was doing 30 to 40 hours a week, one-on-one sessions. She was only charging $35 an hour, and she was not making enough money to make ends meet. And I asked her, I was like, would you like me to help you figure out how to get past that? And she was like, no, I don't have the time or energy to do that. Right? Same reaction I had. I was like, why? She was just so burnt out and exhausted. She literally did not have any more energy to expend. And I can't convince her to do things otherwise because she was convinced my clients won't pay more than $35 an hour. There's no need in me even trying. Nothing I can do, right? All right, so now I'm going to put in the chat. So add up your points from that section. So those 5 questions. And then you're going to add up your points from all 3 sections. So I like to add them up in sections. It just makes that a lot easier and less daunting. So if you got anywhere from 0 to 30 points, which I didn't really give you an option for 0, but that means you're in the foundation stage. You are in the early stages of business, or at least you've been stuck in the early stages of business. And that means you just have more work to do, that we've got to work a little bit more in these areas to get you at a different stage. Stage 2 would be growth stage. Woohoo! You're out of the foundation stage. You're in points 31 to 60, meaning you're gaining traction, but you're still refining your processes, facing challenges, and we need to keep scaling strategically and releasing resistance, because that means the resistance lies with you. The third stage is expansion stage. So you got anywhere from 61 points to 90 points. Again, no one hits 100, but you might be higher than 90. That's okay too. You're operating at a high level, but continued refinement and support will help you break through to the next level. So Tiffany, I'm curious, where are you at on this?
Okay, first of all, this is crazy. 30 minutes before your email came out, I wrote all of this in my journal today, asking God to send me this help because I was so frustrated. I named all these stuff that you just went through, and then I jump on this and I'm like, I don't know if I'm about to have a cry or freak out stage. I'm like,
Oh,
wait a minute, this is crazy. So then when you gave us at the end the foundation, the growth, or the expansion, I always felt like I was stuck at foundation, but I'm actually in the growth stage, which is the stage I wanted to be. So I'm like, you where you want to be, but I'm beating myself up because I'm thinking I'm not where I want to be. It's kind of some mind boggling stuff going on over
isn't
here right now.
that amazing how that works?
That is crazy. I'm looking around the room like, is these teddy bears recording me or what? Like it's just so crazy. Like within an hour and a half, all of this has.
Right? And we could have just done regular Magic Monday, but I was
Yes.
like, it hit me. I was like, oh, we got to do this because I'm getting ready to launch going over and doing this with individuals. And I'm like, well, let's just do this as a group together because this is so important.
And I didn't even read the email, so I was
You
expecting
didn't
us
even
to
know. You're
do.
like, I didn't even know what I was getting
I
myself
was just
into.
literally, I was like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. I haven't been on it forever. I'm going to be home. I could jump on. And I hadn't been on in 3 weeks. And so I'm just going to jump on and pick up where they left, where I left out. I didn't even know what you was doing. That's why I'm a little freaked out. So I'm kind of crying, but I'm kind of like, this is crazy. Like, this is, yeah. So yeah, that's where, yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's amazing. All right, Sierra, can you talk if or you can put it in the chat or say it out loud if you were able to?
I was multitasking because I was also in a team meeting at the same time. So I'm adding mine up right now. I
Perfect.
will hop off mute when I got mine added up. But I feel like it's going to be the growth stage,
Okay.
but I could be wrong. But TBT. 1 second.
Awesome. Awesome. That's what I figured. I figured camera off, mic muted, you're probably doing something else. So it's all good. Oh, all right. So now looking back at these, let's look at which ones of your numbers when you were doing the original assessment, which ones of those, I want you to circle the one that was closest to a 10. So your highest ones. And I also want you to circle your lowest ones because there's two different ways that we can approach this. There's you're already doing really, really good, and maybe there's some minor tweaks that you can make in the ones that you're already doing well in, or at least we can bring some attention to like what you're doing really well. Now, looking at the ones that you're not doing so great in, so your lower numbers, and I really want you to consider, is this an area that maybe I've just been avoiding, right? Like it might just be an avoidance that's happening, or it could be an area that you're really struggling in. So let's look.
So, oops, sorry, phone's ringing. So for me, it is exactly the areas that I've been saying I need to help in. So my very first year that I did, well, maybe second year that I did business, I was tribute to what a strategic plan was and had no idea what that was. I'm a wing it type person. If that works, I'm gonna redo it again. If it don't work, well, I'm not gonna do it again. And so I feel like my last 2 years since 2023, I haven't had a strategic plan. So I've been winging it really hard, which has caused all the lower numbers. The my biggest 10 was the what is it called? Syndrome, this imposter syndrome. And I feel like that plays a place to me because I don't have a plan. And when I don't have a plan, I'm just like, and I'm like, okay, that worked, that didn't work, but I don't even sit down. So I feel like all the ones that I wrote down that was ones I could get fixed if I had the plan and then map it out, which is exactly what I wrote in my journal today. I need a strategic plan and a coach. I'm just done with you for the day. My mind is blown.
And that's exactly why we go through this, so we can see those numbers, so we can make those awarenesses, because that is exactly what I hope for, is that you can see it's this one thing that's throwing everything else off.
Mhm.
And there
Yeah.
is a beauty, right? Like we did talk about like what's our ability to take risk? What's our ability to wing it, right? Like that is an amazing quality to have, and we don't want to shame that in any way. But if we're relying on that all the time, it will keep us in scarcity and survival mode too, right? Like we don't want to be in that mode all of the time. Or like that example I just gave, that coach who is so stuck and so burnt out and so in survival that she no longer has the energy to even get herself unstuck. We don't want to be at that space. Okay. So there's a beautiful thing called ChatGPT, right? And you are going to have to talk to Chad quite a bit, right? And most likely you already have some really great conversations going on. So some of the things that you're going to need to know in order to make that strategic plan is current ways that you are making money. And that's going to be, I can do these things for these groups of people. So that's one thing that you're going to have to know is how you're currently making money. Now, you're also going to have to consider how can you also make more money, right? And I think we've all had this conversation for all of those who have attended some of these growth sessions is I've made suggestions, right? So Tiffany, like reaching out to corporate and being able to do 40 plus baskets. We've talked about reaching out to florists and installing, baskets there already. So you're going to have to take these additional points and Now, I prefer when I start getting into these longer conversations, I start like talking to it. So that way I don't have to type all this out. But in all reality, you probably should type all of this out because you do need this. And what you're going to ask ChatGPT to do is once you have all of those areas figured out. Now, if you haven't, right, like for those who are watching the recording, hopefully they're watching the recording, right? Come to office hours so that you can get these things pulled out so that you have this information. And then you're going to ask ChatGPT to create you a strategic business plan. This does not mean that the first draft is gold, okay? But to create you a strategic business plan to hit $1 million in revenue. Now, this is important because a lot of times people hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much money. And in all reality, to hit 1 million in revenue means that there are also costs associated, especially for you, Tiffany, right? Like you're purchasing items too. Now, there's a difference between revenue and profit, but right now we're going to be focused on revenue. So to hit $1 million in revenue within the next 2 years. Now, you might say, I want to hit it this year. I will tell you that there is a lot of work that goes into doing it in 1 year. So I'm going to tell you for your own sanity, do 2 years. You could even say 3 years. And also ask ChatGPT to map that into 3 to 5 phases of implementation. 3 to 5 phases of implementation. That should allow it to break it down and say, hey, phase one, from month 1 to 6, you need to do these things.
Can you say it again? 3 to 5 phases to what?
3 to 5 phases of implementation. Because what you want is those tasks that you need to focus on. And why this is helpful, and this is what I used to do before ChatGPT. So ChatGPT makes it so much easier now. Is we would look at all these things and say, what are the things, the foundational things that are easy to do and need to be done first that set up phase two for success? Because the biggest problem I see for business owners, there's so many things to do, and I can't choose which things to do first. And when you have the strategic plan and you start getting another idea, you start wanting to work on this thing that's in phase three, you're going to stop yourself and go, no, I'm focused on phase one tasks. I have to do phase one tasks. Now, that being said, as ChatGPT spits out this long list and this nice refined plan, I'm going to recommend copy paste all of it and put it into a Word doc. And you might even put draft one as the label. Review that, play it through your mind. I really love the tool of visualization. Think about all the feelings and the emotions that are going to rise up, because there are going to be feelings and emotions that rise up after reading this, because it might feel overwhelming. You might think it looks stupid. I've had that reaction before, where I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no way. Like, those things could be done next week. Really? So if that's what you think, say, okay, now let's break down phase one into more manageable tasks in a week by week process. Because if it sounds so simple, but yet you're struggling to take action on it, then we need to break that down even further. So you're going to ask ChatGPT to then break down phase one into week by week tasks. Okay, so Sierra said, can you repeat the first part, please? Yes. So you're going to ask ChatGPT to create a strategic plan based on your current revenue sources and revenue generating ideas in order to hit $1 million in revenue. And then you get to choose. Is that 2 years? Is that 3 years? Is it 5 years? We want to put it in a time frame, and I would recommend start with 2 years because you might be pleasantly surprised by what it tells you in such plan. Then within that, we are going to say to break that down into, I would say either 3 to 5 phase, and don't tell it 3 to 5 phase. Like you choose how you prefer that broken down, because otherwise it gives you too many options. So you might say, I just need 3 phases. Just break it down in 3 phases. You might need more phases. And you say, break that down into a 5-phase implementation plan. It's going to break it all down. And then you're going to look at that, copy paste it into a document. Don't just leave it over in ChatGPT. Then you're going to say, break phase 1 down into a week by week plan. If that still feels daunting, say, okay, break week 1 down into a daily action plan. Make sure that it is able for you to digest. Now, if it's giving you an overwhelming amount of work, you might need to let it know, say like, hey, I only have 10 hours a week to dedicate to this. Do we need to change the phase implementation plan? The length of this? Can you map that out and what I should be accomplishing within each hour of my 10 hours for a week in implementing this? Okay, so you can tell it these things. I empower you to do that. Like, here's my political hands. I empower you, empower you to do this. Okay. It's like watching too many speaking things. Like all good speakers. Like Obama did that a whole lot, right? Like, which I do say, speaking wise, the first time I saw Obama speak, I was like, this is gold. He just needs to host his own speaking training. Just the right pace. He did the hand motions to go with the pace. So, anywho, I'll get off my Obama loving soapbox. I feel
I
like we
will
could bring him
say,
back.
Izzy, can you hear me? I will say I did this kinda with Valentine's with the month of February, and it gave me. I just did it for the month. Like I said,
Okay.
this is what I want to make. This is what my sales. Well, I made a really high sales go because I was like, you aim high, and if you get somewhere near it, you're good. And if you're not, you got room to grow. So I said I wanted 10,000 for the month of February for Valentine's sales. And I asked it what I need to do, who I need to collaborate with, and all that stuff. And February of this year was my biggest sales month ever, like that I ever did. I didn't hit 10,000, but it was the biggest sales month that I have ever did. So it's still room for me to grow. And I really feel like the only reason why I didn't hit 10,000 is because I had some personal stuff going on in my own life that kept me from hitting the 10,000. And if I didn't have those barriers, just doing what it had asked me to do, I got to get with Churchill Downs, Derby City Gambling. That was one of the people I got to get with. I had 2 churches that took me up on my Valentine's offer. So I think that just doing that and really, really, my problem was some of the days I wasn't motivated. Like I got really frustrated when I didn't hear back. And I was like, I'm doing all the work. Why aren't I hearing back? But what I had to remind myself was my time wasn't other people's time. Like they think Valentine's Day is, I got plenty of time. Where me as a creator, I'm like, y'all don't understand how much time it takes for me to make the stuff. So I need you to order now. So I think understanding that people's time and my time is not the same thing has really helped me because they're like, what? Why can't you make a basket the day before Valentine's? You're the gift basket person. I'm like, yo, I don't have
If
these
there's
things.
400 orders that come in the day
Yeah.
before,
Yeah, so I think I've talked, and that helped me learn to talk about my process more, because maybe people don't understand it, and they don't understand why I want you to order a week ahead of time so I can get, your 60 baskets together. So this has worked, and I feel like I think I gave myself a little pat on the back while you were talking, because I was like, dang girl, you kind of been doing this. You just didn't know you did it.
And sometimes that's what this is. Like, because I will tell you, and Holly and I joke about this all the time, where we'll sign up for some program and we'll go to it. And we try not to be disappointed, but rather accept it as validation that we are on the right path, that we're doing the
Mhm.
right things. And sometimes that's what this is. Like it is, these rating systems are to say, like, oh, wow, you know what? I am doing better over there than I thought I was. I didn't really take the time to stop and pause and celebrate the work that I've been working on and doing. And congratulations. That's huge
Yes, it was. And
because that's
they've already said they're coming back for more. Like
perfect.
immediately when they gave the baskets to their staff. So it was a Super Bowl party, is what they ordered baskets
Nice.
for their staff. And their staff was like, "We don't want another gift card. We want baskets from her." And it kind
Oh,
of blew me away, because a lot of people like, I could get a $50 gift card, especially with groceries high. I mean, like eggs, like you can deal eggs out these days. And so I was like, that is like a compliment to, and I had to take that in. I am horrible with taking compliments in. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Y'all just saying that to be nice. But like the staff real like he had them write reviews, and they were really like, I love my gift from her, whatever. And what's so crazy, I thought those was the worst baskets I ever made in my life.
oh, that's
Because
even
I was
better.
moving, because I was moving, and I was like, oh, this is hard. I felt like I was just throwing stuff in it, but I realized it was stress. And then for him to say he wants to connect me with the actual people, that, because my goal is to get not baskets, some type of gift for the people who walk the track during the survivors parade. Like that's my ultimate goal with Churchill Down. And I shared it with him, and he shared it with the person that, it's just been so mind blowing. Like,
That's where it
what?
is. It's taking action, right?
Mm,
Because we can sit, and again, that's why one of those questions is, are you just sitting and planning and planning and planning? But like to take the action to do the things, because that's what it takes is referrals.
mm-hmm,
I mean, I think it's like 70% of your business should be referrals
mm,
because that says not only do you do what you do, but you do it well, so well that people are referring you and you're
mm,
staying top of mind. That's again why social media comes in play. Social media typically is not for us to like go grab people unless you have a
mm,
lead system put into play. It's typically to stay top of mind to the people you've already been talking to.
mm,
So, what we typically do on Magic Monday, right, is go have some conversations with people and then use those conversations to craft content because, and I've done this before where I left a hypnotherapy or a coaching session and I typed a general message that I knew that person needed to hear and then sent it out, had several people going, "Oh my gosh, it felt like you were talking directly to me." And then had people booking with me because that was the message they needed to hear.
mm.
Because you're talking to real people with real problems, right? And you have real solutions, not just saying, here's a Valentine's basket, right? It's like you are planning big events and, yeah, you could just get another gift card, but what if your office was getting so excited that they preferred a basket over a gift card? Like, say things like that. Use it in your marketing.
That's good.
right? I was listening to an audiobook and like it was talking about, I can't remember which audiobook, but it was talking about like organizations, like let's say Humana, like organizations, and the onboarding process is so broken in the majority of organizations. Like, what if you
Mhm.
came in and there's a custom gift basket on your desk that has your name with the company logo and oh, they were using John Deere as an example, right? Like they have a tractor and your name's on the tractor and like all these things are set up and prepared, but the majority of workplaces don't.
Mm-mm.
The majority of workplaces, and they painted such a beautiful picture of like every single time I've gotten a job in an organization of like you come in, someone's trying to find the person that's going to train you. You like dilly-dally for like 2 to 3 days. They still haven't like even properly introduced you to half the people in the office, and everybody's just winging it, right? And so like you could be a part of that solution. Like
That's
what,
a whole different arm. I've never even thought about
right?
that.
But like, and again, these are just, I get ideas all the time because I'm listening to audiobooks all the time on trainings. But it's like, it's so true. Like, what if you could, the hiring team, HR, is like, just ask, say, hey, do you provide gift baskets to your new hires as part of your retention process? Because, oh, and there's numbers. You could easily type it into Chat GPT and it'll pull it up. I need to just start saying Chad like you do. Like you could easily type it in Chad. And there are national statistical averages for the cost of retaining an employee versus the cost of
Mm.
employee turnover, and it is high numbers.
It costs the company a lot of money if a person quits,
Yes.
especially if they quit before they get out of training. Like you've literally wasted money and they've committed no value to your company. So it is a thing that company really wants to do is to keep you there as long as they
Yes.
can because it's cost them so much to even hire you. Just the background checks of several hundred employees is a lot of money.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I was reading another book this weekend too, and it was talking about the hiring process for a lot of these companies where they will pass over very qualified people just because they are trying to find a good fit that fits into their statistics that
Mm-hmm.
says this person's less likely to quit. But then you do all this work to get the person, and then the onboarding process is horrible, and that person doesn't feel welcomed. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
you could be, again, part of that solution. I mean, that could be a whole program in itself that, again, is evergreen, right? Versus Valentine's Day is not evergreen,
No, because it's just once a year.
right? When we do holidays, I should say holidays are not evergreen. Now, once you have your Valentine's Day process, you can reutilize that. But looking at evergreen processes would be like, right? Like companies are always hiring and bringing on new employees. Um, I know we've mentioned real estate agents, right? Like real estate agents really should be giving a basket to every new homeowner purchase. That could be evergreen. And so looking for more of those evergreen opportunities, and that might be something again that you search in ChatGPT based on saying, and hey, like as we're looking at this, like let's look at holiday opportunities as part of our strategic plan as well as evergreen opportunities and give it some of those suggestions.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, how do you, because something I struggle with is being consistent. Like I said, that I wanted to get myself out there more on social media and just not even necessarily post about my business, but just try to get more engagement
Hmm.
sometimes. So that way, when I do post about my business, maybe I have a little bit more engagement.
Yeah.
And
You have been
like
posting
I
yourself.
Thank you. But I haven't been getting a lot of engagement, so I feel like that's making me not want to be consistent. But then I'm like, in order to get the engagement, I have to be consistent. So it's like a inner battle
The
that I'm
double-edged
going
sword or
through.
the
Yeah.
hamster wheel that you can't get off of.
Yeah.
So in your course portal, in the membership hub, there is the 7-day social media challenge. Now, I'll give you a
Hmm.
quick snippet. Being consistent is extremely necessary to get the algorithm going.
Right.
That being said, some of the things I also talk in that, like, again, it says 7-day social media challenge. It's really a 7-day social media training.
Hmm.
It's like an hour every single session. And I'm going through like some nitty gritties. People need to know why they want to follow you.
Hmm.
So just getting on and talking about random things, you'll get some followers, but people need to have a reason to follow you.
Hmm.
One of the ladies who's in the Woe Network, she does it really well. Her Instagram, and Instagram's a really great place to check out how people do that, like people with large followings.
Hmm.
Probably a reason why they're following, a reason why they're engaging. So she teaches on her social media how to go from being a VA to an OBM. And that's an organizational business manager.
Is
And
that
all of
a
her
Amanda
content,
McVicker?
so OBM, organizational business manager. So you're doing a lot more project management. You might
Hmm.
have VAs working underneath of you. And so you can have an OBM company or be a contractor and have subcontractors underneath of you. But all of her social media is geared towards the VA. Now,
Hmm.
clearly, people are obviously going to follow her, and it's positioning her as a very strategic OBM. So if people
Hmm.
are looking for an OBM, she's going to come up in the search and they're going to see that she really knows what she's talking about. Even
Right.
though people are following her, all the VAs are following her
Hmm.
because those are the people that are typically on social media looking for help. It's not normally the person who needs an OBM that's on social media looking for help.
Right. Is this Amanda McVicker?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. She did something recently and I signed up for it. Yeah, yep. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. And so again, like she's very strategic about how she's doing that, and
Hmm.
she's getting a pretty large following. So you have to have people that are on social media that are looking for that type of content. Now, there's another lady that I follow, um, started out where like she's all about body love, right?
Hmm.
Like, and we've got a few women in our community that are like that too.
Hmm.
And she documented her journey of beginning to love herself. And
Ooh.
she talks every day, she's posting something, and it
Hmm.
might be a little video about like how she still looks in the mirror and the instant critique comes in, but then how she loves herself back into where she wants to be. And
Ooh.
there's other parallel journeys that are going on in her story where she
Hmm.
also has endometriosis and she has
Oh,
extreme pain.
wow.
And so she might be down and she's documenting that story too. And so it's kind of like when you watch a good Netflix series and it
Hmm.
starts out with the one person and then another person comes in and then slowly, right? Like in season two, you've got like
Right.
5 or 6 stories that you're tracking within that one series. So, but it never starts out that way,
Right.
right? Like you would be really confused if you came in later on in season two, right? So
Right.
think about it from that point of view, that that will organically happen, but start with who's an audience that has a problem that needs a solution. And so I do see a lot of people that get followings because they are talking about grants and they're just saying they're doing a quick reel where they're just going, and then they add in the text like, here's 5 grants you can apply for right now. And they do it
Hmm.
really fast. So you have to keep watching the video over and over to try to catch them. that gets them more views. If they get more views, then they're getting boosted in the algorithm.
Right.
And guess what? I know I can't even tell you how many of those where I've screenshotted, I've written them down. And if I even gave a like, if that person would have said, "Hey, I noticed you liked my video about grants. Are you looking for grants right now?" And if I was like, "Well, yeah, but no." And if they were in the chat helping me figure out why I needed a grant and what that grant could be for, and then
Hmm.
they got me to a decision going, yes, okay, I want to get this grant or I need a grant to help with this program because they are aware of what things get grants for.
Right.
And they've got it all worked. Well, I'm gonna be like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Because if it's enough, like if I've got enough to cover getting them started and then the grant is
Hmm.
going to help me pay to continue to have them,
Right.
well, why wouldn't I? And in the meantime, they could easily be gaining lots of insights on what doubts, confusions are happening for people
Hmm.
to decide how to have a grant. And they could easily now start putting out content going, here's the top 5 projects you could get a grant for. And they've got that validated through conversations.
And I will say, Sierra, I hope I'm saying your name right because I'll be messing people's name up. So I apologize.
You said
uh,
it. You said it right.
but when I noticed when you have been making your posts about grants, I didn't know you did that. And I was like, wait a minute. And so it did make me slow down a little bit because I was like, whoa,
Oh.
I didn't know she did grants
A
because I'm
good
always like,
topic.
as a for-profit business, I'm always wanting a grant. But everybody, the first thing they tell me is you can't get a grant because you're for-profit. So when I see
Hmm.
that you did it, I'm instantly made a mental note that maybe she may know something that I didn't. Now I didn't like or share because I'm crazy and don't do that half the time. But it did make me slow down. I did look at some of your other. I went to your page and looked at some of the other posts you had made about grants. I just didn't like it because I'm crazy. But I feel like there's people out there like me that it made them slow down. It made me think, oh, when I'm ready to really start this grant thing, she's gonna be somebody I'm gonna talk to before
Thank
I
you.
just willy nilly it on my own because she's out here talking about she got a whole list and I didn't even know she did that, but now I do. So it may
Thank
be that
you.
you're sharing it and people are seeing you like that.
Yeah,
Thank
and I mean, really,
you.
like honestly, like you could do a live and just share your screen and go to one of the most well-known grants that are out there that it's no extra special knowledge to anybody. That would be the one
Right.
that I would pick and like go through it and say like, "Hey, did you know this is available?" Look, like let's look at and like go through and look at what the requirements are, who it's for, like what all the things that you're going to need to apply and say, hey, like I can help hold you accountable for this. Like what if
Hmm.
your job was just to hold them accountable for it?
Mm.
Like you don't even really have to do a whole lot, but just stay on them and say like basically like a grant project manager where you've already done some research. You can continue to do research as they need it, but like it's like, hey, like I'm going to hold you accountable for 20 hours to help get this grant done with you.
Cool. Thank you.
And like
And
at
and
that
it
point,
may
you could charge 10, $12 an hour because you're not really doing anything, right?
Right.
And your post made me think about who do I know that need grant help too. I was like, I
Thank
know
you.
non-profit people that probably. So it could just make me think like, hey, I know this girl. She's doing this. You've been talking about you need a grant for this program. So I think your consistency is paying off. You're probably like me because you don't see it up front. You like it ain't working, but I feel like
Hmm.
it is because it did really make me think of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I would create a post like in the Woe network and on your personal page or create it on your personal and then share it over to Woe, but just say who wants to learn more about getting grants for your for profit or maybe another week you're saying for your nonprofit or getting a grant for a project you're working on. Like that could be a weekly post just specifying, and people are going to tag people. That's going to start to get the algorithm going too. And then that gives you the opportunity to then message them and ask questions, do the market research. And you might find, okay, I need to do a webinar on this thing because holy moly, this is the most basic thing. And all you have to do, you're a researcher, is go research all the information, put it into a presentation, and just teach them.
Mhm.
You have the most amazing skill. You're a researcher. So, like, you don't have to have all the answers. You just go research and find the answers for them and then do a presentation on it.
Thank you.
And you've got a great personality. Like, you are so fun. Like, I love seeing you come up in my feed.
Thank you.
So, like, don't be shy. Just keep showing up.
My God. Like even the video that made, I think I posted it. It was this past weekend. I was over here like, you gonna do it? I don't know. Are you gonna do it? No. So I finally was like, I know let's just get it over with. I'm like 6 people shared. I was like, oh yay, thanks y'all.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I still have that. Like some days where I'm like, man, I don't have any makeup on. I got my glasses. And yeah, like you said, your glasses have been like my glasses have been sliding down nonstop, like because I've got Coke bottles style. Because I'm like blind. And then I've just been wearing a hat all the time lately because I feel like I'm out and about and on the go. And like, so sometimes for me to stop and do a live, I have to make myself. And sometimes I'm like, this topic is so pointless. Like, but sometimes it's the most basic things, and it's literally just to be going live so you can catch someone new, remind
Mhm.
someone of the topic. Um, like, I mean, I could go live every single Monday and talk about how your mindset is impacting your business,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
People would tune into that.
And
Yeah.
please do. That's a great one.
Right? Like, I just pulled that out of thin air. Okay, I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, please write that down and go ahead and do that.
How your mind's see, and like literally I could chat, just said like, hey, Chad, help me brainstorm 20 different 10-minute lives I could do on how your mindset's impacting your business. And like just to get like a kickstart, and then I could just ramble.
This day has been the best. I didn't know God was going to answer my prayer in 2 hours and 6 minutes, but hey, I am here for it because I went from feeling like I'm about to go out and beat everybody up to like, okay, I don't have to kill
Mhm.
nobody today. I can work. I got stuff to do. I got work to do. So it was meant for me to be at home on this Monday to hear all of this because I mean, I literally was like, this is crazy. Like, if I could show y'all this journal that I just wrote 2 hours ago and listen to all what we did, y'all be like,
Journaling is amazing, right? Like I've had so many awarenesses that were like, duh. Like when I journal. Like I did this yesterday because I was restructuring things and then I started doubting myself and I'm like, why would I not just offer what I've been offering? Like, why wouldn't I do that? It's 2 sessions a week, $1,200 a month. We have a talking session, we have a doing session. That's so valuable to people. Why did I
Mhm.
stop doing that? I don't even know. I don't even know when I stopped. All of a sudden, I just stopped doing it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, trying to figure out my schedule and I was trying to over strategize. And I was like, it hit me this morning. Duh. Why do I have to do 2 sessions with them a week? I could easily offer for $700 a month to have 1 session a week and it just still be a little bit longer. Like, why couldn't I do that and say, here's a 6-month payment plan, or here's a if you pay in full payment plan? Why does it doesn't have to be difficult?
mm-hmm.
And I have to remind myself that all the time. And I say it all the time. Simplicity scales, simplicity scales. And I have to say this and repeat it for myself too, not just you all.
It's been an amazing day.
Good.
It definitely has been some magic Monday for me today.
Good. All right. Well, tomorrow we are going to start our next, and I'm going to say in quotes, book study, because it really is creating your story brand training. And I say this like people used to pay me $500 a month to teach them this. So don't miss out on it.
Okay.
Okay. Even if you're just watching the recording, try to show up live because we can actually troubleshoot things. But like we really are crafting the stories that sell your business. Okay. I would
Yes.
recommend getting the book. There's a new one. I don't have the new one, so the older one's cheaper, and it's just called
What's the book's name?
Story Brand.
Oh, okay.
So I will put it in the chat. So if you do use my link to buy it on Amazon, I get my little affiliate code. This is one of the other reasons. See, like my multiple sources of income. I don't make much off of it, but it is just
Hey, a dollar is a dollar.
right. That's what I'm saying.
I
Okay,
don't see it.
grab that and put it in the chat for you. So, Story Brand, it's also audiobook version. I will say Donald Miller, I think is his last name. He really does know what he's talking about. Like he has built a very well-established company. He is an old white guy, uh, but he's actually pretty quirky. Like I really enjoy like even his audiobooks and watching his videos. Like you can tell he's got a very youthful spirit.
Okay. I am going to try my best to be here tomorrow.
All
I
righty.
think I missed y'all.
I missed you. I know. I've been off and on sick myself, so I feel like I've missed out on people lately too.
Yes, ma'am.
Flu season is over. I am claiming it is over. It is shut
Yeah.
down. Now let's go into springtime.
Yes. I'm so over it. Winter weather, flu,
Mhm. Yeah, you got hit
snow.
hard pretty well as well.
Yeah, I'm over snow. It's supposed to be 72 next Tuesday. That's the life I want to live.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, I will
All
talk to you all tomorrow.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.